देवादिदेव गौरचन्द्र गौरीदास मन्दिरे नित्यानन्द संग गौराम्बिका ते विहारे चारु अरुण गुञ्जहारा हृत्कमले जिधारे विरिञ्चि सेव्या पादपद्मा लक्ष्मी सेव्या सादरे तप्त हेमाङ्गकान्ति पतरुणाम्बरे राधिकानुराग प्रेम भक्ति वाञ्छा जे करे शचीसुत गौरचन्द्र आनन्दितान्तरे प्रचण्ड खण्ड नित्यानन्द संगे रंग विहारा नित्यानन्द गौरचन्द्र गौरीदास मन्दिरे गौरीदास करताश सर्वजीव उदारे देवादिदेव गौरचन्द्र गौरीदास मन्दिरे नित्यानन्द संगे गौराम्बिका ते विहारा नित्यानन्द
The Lord of Lords, Shri Gaurachandra, along with Nityananda Prabhu, is pleasurably engaged in his pastimes in Gauridas Pandit's house in Ambika Kalna. Gaurasundar adorns himself with a very beautiful red gunjamala, which falls over his lotus heart. Brahma and Lakshmi worship his lotus feet with great respect. His body shines brilliantly like molten gold, and his cloth is saffron like the rising sun. He desires that prema bhakti, like that Anuraga of Srimati Radhika. The son of Shachi, Gaurasundar, who is so joyful inside, is roaming about with Nityananda Prabhu, purifying the hearts of the atheists. Both Nityananda and Gaurasundar are in the house of Gauridas, who hopes that they will deliver all jivas.
Dasa mandire devadi deva gorajana Nityananda sang gora Ambika Devi Arya Devadi Deva Gora Chanda Gauri Dasa Mandire
বড় সুখের খবর গায় বড় সুখের খবর গায় বড় সুখের খবর গায় বড় সুখের খবর গায় সুরভি কুঞ্জেতে নামের হাট খুলেছে সুরভি কুঞ্জেতে নামের হাট খুলেছে খোদ নিতায় খোদ নিতায় খোদ নিতায় খোদ নিতায় বড় মজার কথা তাই বড় মজার কথা তাই বড় মজার কথা তাই বড় মজার কথা তাই श्रद्धा मूल्य शुद्ध नाम से हाटे ते बिकाए श्रद्धा मूल्य शुद्ध नाम से हाटे ते बिकाए खोद निताय खोद निताय खोद निताय खोद निताय যত ভক্ত বৃন্দবাসী যত ভক্ত বৃন্দবাসী যত ভক্ত বৃন্দবাসী যত ভক্ত বৃন্দবাসী अधिकारी देखे नाम बेचे दरो कसी अधिकारी देखे नाम बेचे दरो कसी खोदनिताय 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 যদি নাম কিনবে ভাই যদি নাম কিনবে ভাই যদি নাম কিনবে ভাই যদি নাম কিনবে ভাই আমার সঙ্গে চলো মহাজনের কাছে যায় আমার সঙ্গে চলো মহাজনের কাছে যায় खोदनिताय 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 তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম দস্তুরি লইব আমি পূর্ণ হবে কাম দস্তুরি লইব আমি পূর্ণ হবে কাম खोदनिताय 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 वरदयाल नित्यानंद वरदयाल नित्यानंद वरदयाल नित्यानंद वरदयाल नित्यानंद श्रद्धा मात्र लये देन परमानंद श्रद्धा मात्र लये देन परमानंद खोदनिताय 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 एक बार देख ले चक्षे जल 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 गौर बोले निताय देन सकल संबल खोदनिताय खोदनिताय Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Then Shuddha Krishna Shiksha, then Shuddha Krishna Shiksha. Then Shuddha Krishna Shiksha, then Shuddha Krishna Shiksha. Jati dhan vidya bal na kore apeksha. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Amni chhade maya jal, amni chhade maya jal. गृहे थाको बने थाको न थाके जंजाल खोदनिताय 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 আর নাই কো কালের ভাই আর নাই কো কালের ভাই আচণ্ডালে দেন নাম নিতাই দয়াময় খোদনিতাই খোদনিতাই Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Bhakti Vinod Daki Kai, Bhakti Vinod Daki Kai. Nitai Charan Vinar Nahi Ashray. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Kodanitai, Kodanitai.
I'm singing news of the greatest happiness at the place known as Surabhi Kunj in Sri Navadvip. The marketplace of the holy name has now been opened. And Lord Nityananda himself is the proprietor. Such wonderful things are going on in that blissful marketplace. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is selling the pure holy name wholesale merely for the price of one's faith. Seeing the assembly of devotees eagerly waiting to purchase the name, Lord Nityananda first examines each of them to test their qualification. Then he sells them the name by bargaining for his price accordingly. Oh, my dear friends, if you really want to buy this pure holy name, then just come along with me, for I'm now going to meet with this Nityananda Mahajan. Thus you will finally be able to acquire the pure holy name. I will also take my due commission, and in this way all three of us will fulfill our desires. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is so extraordinarily merciful. Accepting only one's faith in the holy name, he bestows the topmost divine bliss. When Nitai sees a tear welling in someone's eye upon chanting the name of Gaura, he instantly gives his support to that person. Indeed, he bestows all divine opulences. He gives that person genuine realization of the pure teachings of Sri Krishna as found in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. While displaying all this inconceivable mercy, he pays no attention to one's caste, material wealth, mundane knowledge, or physical ability. Now, dear friends, please reject all of Maya's entangling snares. If you are a householder, then just remain at your home. If you are renounced, then just live in the forest. Either way, nothing more will trouble you. We no longer need to fear the terrible age of quarrel, for the most merciful Lord Nityananda gives the holy name to anyone and everyone, even to the lowest among men. Bhaktivinoda loudly calls out and proclaims to all, other than the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, there is no shelter.
Kodanitai, Kodanitai, Kodanitai.
Jariya Vaishnava Seva Nishchaya Nishtara Paiki Chekeba. Jariya Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Paiki Chekeba. Namasheshtam Manamapi Shachiputram Atra Sarupam Rupam Kasyagrajam Urupuri Maturim Dushtavadim Radha Kundan Yevaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prakto Yasya Pratika Kripaya Shri Gurum Tannatosmi Hey Guru Jnanadadina Gandho Swananda Dasa Kodanaita Sindho Vrindavana Sinadhika Vakara Rasida Radha Pranaya Prachara Edina Bandho Kodanaita Sindho Guru Prasadam Mai Mandamudhe Laksha Parade Bahu Papagade Tatpada Padme Sumatishta Krishna Yajyapi Amara Guru Chaitanya Radas Tathapi Janiye Ami Tahara Prakash Guru Krishna Rupa Shastya Pramane Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Kavene Bhaktagane Shiksha Guru Keta Jani Krishna Raswarupa Antarjani Bhakta Shresha Ejurupa Naibo Payantya Pachikim Kavayasavesham Ramayushapi Kridam Ridamudas Maranta Yontarvahistani Vritam Ashubam Vadumvan Acharya Chaitya Babushaswagatim Yanaki. Without serving the representative of Krishna, nobody can approach Krishna. I bow to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radha Kunda and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika, Madhava, and Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore grace me with your mercy, so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. Although I know that my spiritual master is a servitor of Sri Chaitanya, I know him also as a plenary manifestation of the Lord. Every living entity is eternally a servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Therefore, the spiritual master cannot be other than a servant of Lord Chaitanya. The spiritual master's eternal occupation is to expand the service of the Lord by training disciples in a service attitude. According to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is not different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. The relationship of a disciple with his spiritual master is as good as his relationship with the Supreme Lord. Spiritual masters always represent themselves as the humblest servitors of the personality of Godhead. But the disciple must look upon the spiritual master as a manifested representation of Godhead. One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the Supersoul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. The initiating spiritual master is a personal manifestation of Srila Madan Mohan Vigraha, whereas the instructing spiritual master is a personal representative of Srila Govinda Dev Vigraha. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they are endowed with a prolonged lifetime of Brahma. For you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya, and internally as the Supersoul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing them how to come to you. Spiritual Master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us a shade of your lotus feet. Your fame has spread all over through the worlds. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Bando Mui Sabadana Jaharat Tare Bhai Bhavato Riya Swami Krishna Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyarishatadine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Shivasadi Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare-Haraya Brahma Krishnaya Devaya Namah Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Prima Vishudam Giridhari Govinath Madan Mohan Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita Krishnatham Bhattaragunan Shiru Krishnatham Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Ragunan Echai Gosai Kori Charanavanda Jaha Jai Gosai Jai Muitar Das Sansabara Paradinu Mora Panchagra Tangala Karana Sede Bhakta Sanivas Janame Janame Katha Krishna Nijala Koila Prakash Shri Radha Krishna Nijala Koila leprechaun. Bolo Anande, Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Bolo Anande, Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majaliyaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Padma Kori Ash. Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottam Das. Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottam Das. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Ram Bhajan, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Rama. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajka Acharya Ashtottara Shatashi Srimad Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajka Acharya Ashtottara Shatashi Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki. Jamuni Devi Ganga Devi Ki. Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 21. Please repeat. Vidyate Hriya Grantish Chidyante Sarva Sankshaya Shiyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanishvare Vidyate pierced Hridaya heart Granthi knots Chidyante, cut to pieces. Sarva, all. Sangshaya, misgivings. Shiyante, terminated. Cha, and. Asya, his. Karmani, chain of fruit of actions. Drishte, having seen. Eva, certainly. Atmani, unto the self. Ishvare, dominating. Translation, thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruit of actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. Can we have a couple chanters of the Sanskrit, please? Vidyate hridaya grantish hridaya grantish chadante sarva samshaya Vaishnavis.
Vidyate hridaya granthesh
Vidyate hridaya grantish
Chidyante sarva samshayaha
Chityante sarva samshaya
Shiyante chasya karmani
Shiyante chasya karmani
Drishta evatmanishvare.
Krishna eva manishvare. Una más, por favor. Ekor. Moichido.
Vidyate hridaya granthis
Vidyate hridaya grantish
Chidyante sarva samshayah
Chidyante sarva samshaya
Shriyante chasya karmani
Shiyante chasya karmani
Drishta evatmanishvare.
Purport. According to scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead, attaining scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead means seeing one's own self simultaneously. As far as the identity of the living being as spirit self is concerned, there are a number of speculations and misgivings. The materialist does not believe in the existence of the spirit self. And empiric philosophers believe in the impersonal feature of the whole spirit without individuality of the living beings. But the transcendentalists affirm that the soul and the supersoul are two different identities, qualitatively one but quantitatively different. There are many other theories, but all these different speculations are at once cleared off as soon as Sri Krishna is realized in truth by the process of bhakti yoga. Sri Krishna is like the sun, and the materialistic speculations about the absolute truth are like the darkest midnight. As soon as the Krishna sun is arisen within one's heart, the darkness of materialistic speculations about the absolute truth and the living beings is at once cleared off. In the presence of the sun, the darkness cannot stand, and the relative truths that were hidden within the dense darkness of ignorance become clearly manifested by the mercy of Krishna, who is residing in everyone's heart as the Supersoul. In the Bhagavad Gita 10:11, the Lord says that in order to show special favor to his pure devotees, he personally eradicates the dense darkness of all misgivings by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of a devotee. Therefore, because of the personality of Godhead's taking charge of illuminating the heart of his devotee, certainly a devotee engaged in his service in transcendental love cannot remain in darkness. He comes to know everything of the absolute and the relative truths. The devotee cannot remain in darkness, and because a devotee is enlightened by the personality of Godhead, his knowledge is certainly perfect. This is not the case for those who speculate on the absolute truth by dint of their own limited power of approach. Perfect knowledge is called parampara, or deductive knowledge coming down from the authority to the submissive oral receiver who is bona fide by service and surrender. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme and know him at the same time, know him also at the same time. He reserves the right of not being exposed to such a challenging spirit of an insignificant spark of the whole, a spark subjected to the control of illusory energy. The devotees are submissive, and therefore the transcendental knowledge descends from the personality of Godhead to Brahma, and from Brahma to his sons and disciples in succession. This process is helped by the supersoul within such devotees. That is a perfect way of learning transcendental knowledge. This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee to distinguish spirit from matter, because the knot of spirit and matter is untied by the Lord. This knot is called the hankara, and it falsely obliges a living being to become identified with matter. As false obligations. As soon as this knot is loosened, therefore, all the clouds of doubt are at once cleared off. One sees his master and fully engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, making a full termination of the chain of fruit of action. In material existence, a living being creates his own chain of fruitive work and enjoys the good and bad effects of those actions life after life. But as soon as he engages himself in the loving service of the Lord, he at once becomes free from the chain of karma. His actions no longer create any reaction. I first offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to all the previous acharyas, and to all the assembled devotees. Vansha kalpataruscha kripa sindhabevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. In the course of coming out of darkness in the material world, Krishna gives 3 obstacles: raga, bhaya, and krodha. Last session, we talked about raga to some degree, although it's an infinitely interesting subject matter. As how is it that the non-material being whose consciousness becomes attached to matter? There are philosophical bases for the reason this happens, but it's fascinating to discuss, and we discussed it to some degree last time. We also talked a little bit about anger in the form of cynicism that arises. And we touched on fear, but I thought we could enter into the conversation more deeply, as Krishna, again, has mentioned that raga, bhaya, krodha are 3 obstacles to coming to one's relationship with him. So he says, Vita, you have to give up these 3. Raga, bhaya, krodha. Manmaya mamupashrita. Bahavo jnana tapasa. How would one do that? By the austerity of knowledge. Means you have to think about it. Thinking's hard, right? Scrolling's easy. Actually, it's not. It's the other way around. We feel satisfied when we think about Krishna and we remember our relationship with him. So, Vita, Raga, Bhaya, Krodha, Manmaya, Mamupashita. Putamad Bhavamagata. Krishna assures us, yes? Bahavo, Jnana Tapasa. He says many people have done this. It's not impossible. It's not an eternal conundrum for the soul to be confused. And this verse today, Vidyate hridaya grantish chidyante sarva samshaya. There is a way in which one can come to the end of all doubts, as if they're slashed and they're cut away from us. Vidyate hridaya grantish. Those that are holding us back, holding our hearts back from fully engaging in devotional service. Vidyate hridaya chidyante. They're cut. Vidyate hridaya grantish hridyante sarva samshaya. Samshaya means doubts. So all doubts are removed. Shriyante means terminated, it's finished. Cha asya, and this, karmani, the chain of fruit of actions is stopped at that point. And how is it? Shrishta eva manishvare. One sees oneself and one also sees the super self. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught this nuance many people think of themselves as one with God. That is, I should say many people, some philosophers, opine that we're one homogeneously with God. We've just forgotten. And some see themselves as independent of God, that perhaps there is no God. But there's a perfect balance in the philosophy of Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva. We're simultaneously one with and different from God. You have your cake and eat it too. And that means that although we're one with God, we also have a specific relationship with Him as His servitors and as His appreciators, His glorifiers. And Krishna has His eternal occupation of loving relationships with all the living entities in various ways. And because He's an unlimited being, His capacity for love is unlimited. Therefore, He wants to relish many different kinds of love, including saving the conditioned souls from the material world, which is a kind of love that the prayers personified Vedas describe as His greatest of all leelas, saving the living entities from the material nature and bringing them back. And how does that happen? By jnana tapasa, the austerity of knowledge. So looking at bhaya, which Prabhupada uniquely describes as our fear of a personal existence. So how can that be overcome? By jnana tapasa. Through the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. When we imbibe the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can overcome this inordinate fear of a personal existence or God as a person. And they go hand in hand, because if our origin isn't a person, then it's very likely that our personhood won't persist. We're a person now, but we may not be a person later. Whereas in the realization, perfect realization, drishta eva atmanishvare, one realizes one's personhood as dependent on God's personhood, because we're emanations from Him. We're Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva, part and parcel of Him. He's eternal and so are we eternal. In the Gita, Krishna says, Mamai vamsho jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. That the living souls are parts, they're amshas of me, and they're eternal, just as I'm eternal. Presently, he says, because of being distracted from the absolute truth and being separated by consciousness, now they're struggling. They're grappling with the material nature. So, in considering this fear, there are various fears that people express in relationship with, well, as part of material existence. One of them is the idea of despotism, in that we notice that here in the material world, there's icha and dvesha. Icha dvesha sumutena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the atmosphere of the material world is surcharged with a sense of these dualities, which are desire and hatred. And this comes up in the form of, and can be under the banner of envy. I desire what other people have, and I also hate them because they're different from me, because they have my stuff. Shukadeva Goswami, or in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's the environment of the material world is described as hastani sahastanam aparani chatushpadam falguni tatra mahatam Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. I'm hunting. Everyone's hunting here in the material world, hunting mostly for a new job, or hunting for a new technology, or some are hunting for some other body they can consume, put it on the grill and eat somebody else. And then when they look behind them, they notice Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. I'm also being hunted. Just as I'm hunting somebody else, somebody behind me hunting me. And that this is a very tense environment, because nary do we find a moment when we're not in the pursuit of some new way to dominate in order to survive. And then we fear being dominated. And this fear of domination in this environment, which engenders a sense of fear of domination, we notice social structures which trend toward despotism. I've mentioned before, and I'll mention again, the Michel's iron laws of oligarchy, in which my godbrother once wrote a Vyasa Puja offering to Prabhupada and saying that Michel, a sociologist, had opined that all people in this environment of the material world, even when they're good-intentioned, eventually give way to trying to control in the way that they start off with something that's noble, but then in the process of storming, forming, norming, the norming tends to be towards holding on to power rather than executing the duty for which one started, or the noble cause for which one started. As one notices that we have some momentum, we have some income, we have some power, let's not mess with that part. And therefore they, by degrees, move away from the noble cause they started with. This is a very general definition of Michel's iron laws of oligarchy. And he said it happens to everybody in all species of life because of the environment which is surcharged with duality and competition. So my godbrother, when he wrote the Vyasa Puja, he was saying that in the case of Srila Prabhupada, although he had garnered spiritual power, he didn't succumb to the iron laws of oligarchy. And only a transcendentalist could stand outside those laws and continue with one's noble cause, because one's not subjected to the same forces of Icha and Dvesha. And in our psychology as jivas in the material world, there's a tendency to think that God is a despot or a monster. What else could he be? And I may express that directly or indirectly. Some people express it directly and say that the material world is a disaster. They're in it as much as disasters happen one after another. And if he's all powerful, then how could these be going on? Don't some people say that? Or I may wonder in my own life if I'm being singled out and being abused. So this is kind of despotism. The leader, due to the iron laws of oligarchy, or just being evil, tend to consolidate power and then want to extract as much out of the others as possible, and they really don't care about the individuals. They have no compassion in their hearts for others' despotism. Could you look it up also, please, where it comes from? However, we may be disabused of this misconception by hearing about Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'll demonstrate that right now. I'm going to produce a canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, one part of the 10th canto, part 4, I'm holding in my hand here. And I'm going to open the page randomly. Not really, it's marked. And we have a case of Lord Krishna blessing the liberated kings. They were kings in their own right, in their own regions, and they were conquered by Jarasandha. Jarasandha was a despot, and he collected all the kings and he imprisoned them, basically starved them and demoralized them. And who saved them? Any idea? Yeah, that's right. As in Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. They had prayed for Krishna and he went and saved them. Now, here's the section of the Bhagavatam after. Here, I'll give you a narration here. Shukadeva Goswami said, and this is at 1073, 1 through 6, Jarasandha had defeated 20,800 kings in combat and thrown them into prison. As these kings emerged from the Giri Droni forest, they appeared dirty and shabbily dressed. They were emaciated by hunger, their faces were dried up, and they were greatly weakened by their long imprisonment. The kings then beheld the Lord before them. His complexion was dark blue like the color of a cloud, and he wore a yellow silk garment. He was distinguished by the Srivatsa mark on his chest, his four mighty arms, the pinkish hue of his eyes, which resembled the whorl of a lotus, his lovely cheerful face, his gleaming makara earrings, and the lotus, club, conch shell, and disc in his hands. A helmet, a jeweled necklace, a golden belt, and golden bracelets and armlets decorated his form, and on his neck he wore both the brilliant, precious Kaustuba gem and a garland of forest flowers. The kings seemed to drink his beauty with their eyes, lick him with their tongues, relish his fragrance with their nostrils, and embrace him with their arms. Their past sins now eradicated, the kings all bowed down to Lord Hari, placing their heads at his feet. The ecstasy of beholding Lord Krishna having dispelled the weariness of their imprisonment, the kings stood with joined palms and offered words of praise to that supreme master of the senses. The king said, "Obeisances to you, O Lord of the ruling demigods, O destroyer of your surrendered devotees' distress." Everyone okay? Keep going. Since we have surrendered to you, O inexhaustible Krishna, please save us from this terrible material life which has made us so despondent. O Master Madhusudana, we do not blame this king of Magadha, since it is actually by your mercy that kings fall from their royal position, O Almighty Lord. Purport: it is significant that upon seeing Lord Krishna and thus becoming purified of their sins, the kings did not feel any mundane hatred or bitterness towards Jarasandha, who had imprisoned them. Simply by seeing Lord Krishna, the kings came to the position of Krishna consciousness and spoke these verses which show deep spiritual wisdom. 10. Infatuated by his opulence and ruling power, a king loses all self-restraint and cannot obtain his true welfare. Thus, bewildered by your illusory energy, he imagines his temporary assets to be permanent. Purport: the word unnada indicates that one who is intoxicated by false pride goes beyond the boundaries of proper behavior. Human life is meant to be governed by dharma, spiritual principles for gradual advancement to the perfection of Krishna consciousness. Blinded by wealth and power, however, a foolish person does not hesitate to act whimsically against the laws of nature and God. Unfortunately, this is now the situation in the prosperous Western countries. 11. Just as men of childless intelligence consider a mirage in the desert to be a pond of water, so those who are irrational look upon the illusory transformations of Maya as substantial. Previously blinded by the intoxication of riches, we wanted to conquer this earth, and thus we fought one another to achieve victory, mercilessly harassing our own subjects. We arrogantly disregarded you, O Lord, who stood before us as death. But now, O Krishna, that powerful form of yours called time, moving mysteriously and irresistibly, has deprived us of our opulences. Now that you have mercifully destroyed our pride, we beg simply to remember your lotus feet. Never again will we hanker for a mirage-like kingdom, a kingdom that must be slavishly served by this mortal body, which is simply a source of disease and suffering, and which is declining at every moment. Nor, O Almighty Lord, will we hanker to enjoy the heavenly fruits of pious work in the next life, since the promise of such rewards is simply an empty enticement for the ears. Please tell us how we may constantly remember your lotus feet, though we continue in the cycle of birth and death in this world. Again and again we offer our obeisances unto Lord Krishna. Hari, the son of Vasudeva, that supreme soul Govinda, vanquishes the suffering of all who surrender to him. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus the kings, now freed from bondage, glorified the Supreme Lord. Then, my dear Parikshit, that merciful bestower of shelter spoke to them in a gentle voice. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, from now on, my dear kings, you will have firm devotion to me, the Supreme Self, and the Lord of all that be. I assure you this will come to pass just as you desire. Fortunately, you have come to the proper conclusion, my dear kings, and what you have spoken is true. I can see that human beings' lack of self-restraint, which arises from their intoxication with opulence and power, simply leads to madness. Hai, Nahusha, Vena, Ravana, Naraka, and many other rulers of demigods, men and demons, fell from their elevated positions because of infatuation with material opulence. Understanding that this material body and everything connected with it have a beginning and an end, worship me by Vedic sacrifices, and with clear intelligence protect your subjects in accordance with the principles of religion. As you live your lives, begetting generations of progeny and encountering happiness and distress, birth and death, always keep your minds fixed on me. Be detached from the body and everything connected to it. Remaining self-satisfied, steadfastly keep your vows, while concentrating your minds fully on me. In this way, you will ultimately attain me, the Supreme Absolute Truth. Shukadeva Goswami said, having thus instructed the king, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Master of all the worlds, engaged male and female servants in bathing and grooming them. O descendant of Bharat, the Lord then had King Sahadeva honor them with offerings of clothing, jewelry, garlands, and sandalwood paste, all suitable for royalty. After they had been properly bathed and adorned, Lord Krishna saw to it that they dined on excellent food. He also presented them with various items befitting the pleasure of kings, such as betel nuts. Honored by Lord Mukunda and freed from tribulation, the king shone splendidly, their earrings gleaming, just as the moon and other celestial bodies shine brilliantly in the sky at the end of the rainy season. Then the Lord arranged for the kings to be seated on chariots drawn by fine horses and adorned with jewels and gold, and pleasing them with gracious words, he sent them off to their own kingdoms. Thus liberated from all difficulty by Krishna, the greatest of personalities, the kings departed, and as they went, they thought of him, only of him, the Lord of the universe, and of his wonderful deeds. The kings told their ministers and other associates what the personality of Godhead had done, and then they diligently carried out the orders he had imparted to him. Having arranged for Bhimasena to kill Jarasandha, Lord Keshava accepted worship from King Sahadev and then departed with the two sons of Pritha. So I've always appreciated several aspects of this pastime. One is that Krishna had preserved the dignity of these kings. They were kings in their own right, that was their dharma. And when he sent them back out again, he made sure that they went to the spa first, the king's spa. They got all gussied up and were given nice food and back in the royal chariots, and he sent them back out again. And the fact that Krishna went to great lengths, it was not so easy to overcome the power of Jarasandha. It required a scheme that had been designed by Uddhava. And it required Bhima, Krishna, Arjuna going to Jarasandha to trick him into fighting, and then Krishna cutting some corners against the, what is that, UHF? What's the wrestling federation? WWF? She knows. The WWF broke the WWF regulations and tore him in half. You can't do that normally. And then he went to such great lengths because the kings were there in horrible conditions. He liberated from that condition. He restored their dignity as eternal. He gave them advice. What doesn't he give them? He gave them everything. And again and again, we find throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is not a despot, nor is he a fanatic. Our inordinate fear of Krishna's apparent despotism because of our own engagement in the material world is dispelled. Vidite hriya grantish, that doubt that, oh, Krishna is a despot. This is the kind of fear that one has to overcome. And another type of fear is a fear of domination by others, which is of the same ilk, because we have this sense that anyone who's in charge of me eventually either will fire me, replace me, will abuse me in some way, because that's the nature of the material world. And therefore, human beings respond to that fear by eschewing hierarchy. And Prabhupada tells a story about, a couple stories. One, he says, some people assemble in a room, and there are people who are of higher stature, lower stature. But there's some in the front row that come to a pact and they say, okay, well, we're all here together, we're in the same room, so let's just consider all of us to be equal, same equal level. And that's what Prabhupada tells another story. And of course, the first story, the lesson is that the tendency of people to not want to accept a hierarchy. And the second one goes to how some friends were walking and talking one day, and one of the friends said, did you know that Dilip is now a high court judge? And the other two friends said, Dilip? That idiot? It's impossible. He can't be a high court judge. And the other two, or at least one of them who had seen him, he argued, no, I'll take you by, I'll show you. He's behind the bench, he's got the gavel, he's got the gown, he's giving sentences, he's authorized, he's a judge. And the other ones said, okay, maybe so, but he's definitely not getting paid. This is one way or another to diminish the hierarchy, to not accept somebody else as being superior to oneself. This eliminates the need for, or it's a device to try to overcome the idea that I'm subordinate to somebody else. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes many hierarchies. Now, the overall response to this fear of being dominated by others is impersonalism. It's the one-stop shopping for getting rid of all hierarchy. Impersonalism means that, okay, so some people, materialists, say that I want to be the boss. And then there are impersonalists who say that you are the boss, you just forgot. And the Buddhist or the Voidist might say, well, there is no boss. And there are various philosophies, but they all relate to the idea of hierarchy and is somebody in charge. So through the Bhagavatam, we find again and again Krishna's benevolent position. And as I was thinking of a perfect companion verse to Vitaragabhaya Krodha in the Bhagavad Gita, which is formulaic and which then is whose unfoldment we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Suridam Sarvabhutaram Gyapamam Shantim Richati. As here we find the perfect counterpart, the antidote to these three horsemen. And Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam. Krishna introduces this sublime concept that nobody stops to think about in the material world. Well, they do, but they don't go far enough, which is that self-sacrifice leads to peace. It leads to happiness. And the way it doesn't go far enough is people don't know who to sacrifice to. So Krishna says, I can accept your offerings. And by accepting your offerings, then you're going to be whole. You're going to become whole. That's a complete concept. And then he says, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. You know, people sometimes they buy a house and then they put up a fence and then somebody else buys the house next to them. And then they bring out a surveyor. And they have very precise instruments nowadays that are digital to find out where the property line is, according to not ancient, but past real estate exchanges. And they may find out that your fence is 1 or 2 feet on our side. I had this happen about a house. It was kind of nondescript exactly where the line was. I talked it over with my neighbors, and they said, we're going to put up a new fence. And I said, fine, the line's right here. And we went away to India and came back, and the fence was about 2 feet closer. And I was like, we just got cheated out of 2 feet of our real estate here. That's 2 feet of dirt all the way down there. And of course, we talked it over, and we just, all right, the fence is up. That's too bad. But there is a constant sense of anxiety because of who owns what, and Krishna solves that by coming in and says, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, it's all my dirt. Wherever you put the fence line, it still belongs to me. So that kind of supersedes all the other arguments. And then Suridam Sarvabhutanam, and it comes out in this pastime. Krishna is such a friend that not only does he go and rescue the kings from this horrible person, Jarasandha, but then he understands their needs as kings, and he helps them to resume their original duties as kings, gives them transcendental knowledge, and sends them back out in the world. Krishna is not trying to dominate us. He's our friend. He wants to do the best for each living entity, and he has an individual relationship with each one in a very personal way. So those three will, when understood by hearing Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, will assuage that sense of fear that we have of hierarchy, because I don't want to be down lower than anybody else. It gives us a shelter. That's what we mean when we say shelter, is that we know that if we put ourselves under Krishna in the hierarchy, as for Vaishnavas, Prabhupada said, when you consider yourself the servant, 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 1,000,000 times removed, he said, that is a liberation. What a liberation it is. And a third fear that we may develop, Ragabhaya, fear, is a fear of scarcity. And this is evident, became evident to me. That's the philosophy of the material world. When I read a textbook, I took a class on economics, and the first page said, economics is the study of scarcity, scarce resources, the management of scarce resources. And after I had been reading Bhagavad Gita, and I was thinking there's no scarcity in Krishna's creation. It's only that by one's own interaction with the world that one deserves less or more. I was thinking about how Lord Chaitanya went out with his followers and then asked them, did you bring anything? And they said, no, you didn't tell us to bring anything. And he said, good. I want you to note that everyone gets whatever they deserve. He said, there's food, there's money, but everyone gets as much as they deserve. And as I was driving down in Sunnyvale the other day, I happened to pass a couple of car lots, and I thought, oh, there's a lot of cars there. And people may be driving a junky car and then look at the car lot and said, I wish I had one of those. I was like, why don't you have one? There's plenty of cars all over the world sitting on car lots, but you can't have them. You can only have the one you can afford. And it's the same way with all resources in the world. They're only available to those who are engaged in exploiting the resources of material nature according to their karma. You can only get what you can afford. And some lives you can afford more, some lives you can afford less according to the continuum of your karma. But if you become Krishna's devotee, there's no more scarcity, because Krishna personally, Yogakshema Mahamyaham, takes care of every devotee. This also helps to overcome, and in this fear, there's envy. I envy what other people have. But once we realize our own individual relationship with Krishna, he's the owner of everything, he's our friend, and everything is at the disposal of the devotee who uses it in service to Krishna. The other approach to the world doesn't work. The approach that I can control and own it simply entraps us more and more. So when we're appraised of that fact, and we inch toward it, that is, considering everything belongs to Krishna, then vidyate hridaya grantish, that our doubts are cut. That grip of raga, being attached to the material nature irrationally, bhaya, the fear of despotism, the fear of hierarchy, of scarcity, that's cut. And krodha, the anger of not knowing, that's also cleared, because Krishna gives us a understanding that he's the Supreme Soul. We're also the same quality, but our relationship is that we have the opportunity eternally to serve him. And when we have that, then we're clear. And there's no strife. There's no attachment, inordinate attachment. There's no fear. There's no anger. There's only what's described in this verse: complete liberation from the material world, positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead, and as we'll find in a subsequent verse, one becomes happy. Or in a previous verse, evam prasanna manaso, bhagavat bhakti yogata, bhagavat tattva vijnana mukta sangha sajayate. When we're liberated from raga bhaya krodha, then our mind is happy. There's nothing to worry about anymore. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha, because we know that we're eternal servants of Krishna. Bhagavat tattva vijnanam, and we know achintya beda beda tattva, our relationship with the world, our relationship with Krishna. Mukta sangha sajayate, that's when liberation arises and we're completely free. So, this is the disease, raga bhaya krodha. The antidote is Krishna's teachings, philosophical teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, which are played out in the Srimad Bhagavatam through the various incidents when we see him personally dealing with all the different types of living entities. Om Tat Sat. And I want to point out that Ramananda Sakaprabhu bought a new clock. This clock is a clock of all clocks because it's connected to the internet and it self-corrects. If the mechanism slows down or speeds up, it will reposition itself according to the internet. Now, hopefully the internet holds up. But it's just an example of Ramananda Prabhu's penchant for always finding improvements. Because I had complained the other day about the clock being too slow or fast, and he fixed it. Okay, so a couple of comments. Yes, David Vrata.
Hare Krishna. If I heard properly, the three types of fear is fear of despotism.
Not the three types of fear, no the, because I haven't exhaustively considered a list, that covers everything, but just for today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fear of despotism, fear of hierarchy, and fear of scarcity.
Yes, and I would say the fear of hierarchy could be subsumed by fear of despotism. So maybe it's two with a subcategory.
One thought I was having was how this fear of hierarchy, it's something which there's been a lot of artificial attempts in modern society to eradicate it through various sociological ideas. One of which I'm thinking, which is the most stark, is communism. But you can see how in communist-run countries there's a natural shift towards hierarchy. So you can't get away from the fact there's going to be hierarchy, but the Bhagavad Gita, through this Bhoktaram Yogachapasam, is giving us a hierarchy which we can align with and actually be enlivened by.
Yeah, and by the same token, democracy is a similar attempt to get away from despotism, because it's a reaction to people who are controlled by despots, who then said, let's make another form of government where we're all equal and we all vote for for something. We all have an equal right. It took a lot of adjustment, because once they passed that, then they said, well, what about black people and women? Should they be included? And then they said, okay, definitely we're going to have a war about that. That was a civil war. Let's fight over that part. And then the universal suffrage, meaning everyone has the equal right. That's the idea behind the Constitution. It's a noble idea. It's a perfect idea, only it's very difficult to apply unless you have Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Suridam Sarvabhutaram Gyatvanvam Shantam Richati. Who are you going to make the center of the whole thing? And Krishna says, oh yeah, that's me over here. By the way, I'm the one who can accept all these things. So yes, different sociological trends, political trends, you can trace them back to this struggle in human society of people trying to align themselves in such a way that they don't get dominated. And what happens again and again is, as I was speaking about a few weeks or months ago, Eric Fromm, the sociologist, talked in his book called Escape from Freedom. People tend to come up with systems to free themselves from despotism, but then they get afraid again, because freedom is unwieldy, it turns out, and people don't know what to do with it. So then there's cycles that he names in history where people go back to another form of despotism. And it's a conundrum until one realizes, we have to realize that Krishna is the center of everything. Then you have the perfect system. Did I follow the right thread with what you said? Okay. Okay, Sadhu. And then Vicky. Welcome back. Hanspriya's back. Thanks for coming back. We were getting a little worried here. Please, Sadhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was reading the 11th canto the other day, and I came across this verse that was, relatable and also related to the topic. It's a verse that you quote sometimes. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. For a practicing devotee like me, I feel this is such a relatable verse, just because, I know that sense gratification is bad to engage in, but it's still so hard to let go of it. And in fact, Prabhupada in the Purport also, states that devotee still enthusiastically takes up Krishna consciousness. And what's very interesting, in the later, I think 2 verses after, this Vidyate Hridaya Granthis is quoted again, where Krishna is also kind of, Krishna's talking to Uddhava in this chapter, and he's also reaffirming that, once you see the Lord as the Supreme Master, that knot will be cut. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. And let's continue on that thread for a moment. We can't give up sense gratification because we have senses. This is one of the points of us being emanations from Krishna. We have personhood. Personhood indicates that we have senses. We're sentient. And therefore, the idea of giving up sense gratification is not appealing. Although we find that those who have understood, as Shukadeva Goswami explains in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that you're in a unique situation as a human because you can see the difference between yourself and the body, and you can realize that your highest interest is not in acquiring more material things. Therefore, he says, what do you care for new styles? Why don't you just find some torn cloth and put it on? That ought to be fine. For your purposes, it's staying alive, so you can inquire about self-realization. People who are intensely materialistic realize some of these principles. That's why Steve Jobs wore the same jeans every day. Not even different jeans. He wore them till he had put patches on them. And the same black turtleneck pullover. Because he thought, let me not be concerned with all these external things. Let me only be concerned with developing this project that I'm on. So there's a similar transference of one's attention that takes place after reading Bhagavad Gita, that Atmanam Akilatmanam, Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami says, you care so much for yourself or your body because you think it's yourself. So imagine if you gave that much attention to your soul. Now take it one step further. He says, consider that Krishna is Atmanam Akilatmanam. He's the soul of your soul. How much would you give to him? And that brings us back to Bhuktaram Yakatapasam. And therefore, we find a very different philosophy that is born out of Achintya Abhed Tattva, which is that we're not renunciates, but we realign our sense gratification with pleasing Krishna's senses. Atmendriya Priti Vancha Taribalikam. It's called kam or lust when you try to satisfy your own senses. And doesn't work. Categorically doesn't work. We talked about that last week. And then he says, Krishnendriya Priti Icha Bali Prem Nam. It's called prema or love when you give attention to satisfying Krishna's senses. And what is that? Anushilanam. Shil means it's cultivation. You have to cultivate that in your life. First of all, try doing divine austerity, the Bhagavatam says. Tapo divyam putra kalyena sadvam. You might like it because you start to realize, oh, I feel more satisfied after that. Then tapo divyam means do it for Krishna more and more. Then you find real life. And you emerge from material sense gratification as per the Bhagavad Gita, Vishaya vinivartante, nirahara siddhehina, rasavarjam rasopyasva, param vishvanivartate. Means when you think a goose is a swan, but then you get a swan, then you notice that the goose is not a swan. And similarly, when we get divine satisfaction by serving Krishna's senses, that's real sense gratification, and that's real life. Okay, Vicky, and then we have Yashoda Vatsal, and then Mekhala.
Hare Krishna. I was thinking how this fear of despotism and hierarchy is an escape from freedom, and I was connecting some dots that when the French diplomat and scholar Alexis de Tocqueville first visited the United States in 1831 to study the penal system, he observed that in this great land of established widespread freedom, there existed a soft despotism in which this enforcement of freedom led to a certain policing between neighbors and a herd of timid and industrious animals. And I was observing how this socio-psychological phenomena still manifests today. When we were on Black Friday Harinam, I encountered two gentlemen, and they stopped to actually speak to Sri Antariksha Prabhu, and I was just observing how he was trying to distribute a book to them. They were listening, but then after a while, one of them said, no, someone else needs it much more than I do. And then both of them walked away, and his friend tapped him, and he said, you're good. And I was just thinking how we can kind of enforce each other in that way.
Give it to somebody else who will read it. Somebody else needs it more than I do. Thank you very much, Vicky. Very insightful. Okay, then we had Yashoda Vatsal and Mekhala.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for this class. I can't be enough grateful. First of all, the reason for that is this is my most loved verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it comes twice in this canto that you talked about, and Sadhu also mentioned about the 10th canto where it gets repeated. And second thing is, like, I was going through this thought for last couple of days about how to deal with this situation, and then you talked about this iron law of oligarchy by Michel something. So, and I felt like, this is what is going on, and it really touched me. And then you gave me the answer also today, how to deal with that. Thank you so much. And just wanted to understand, I'm going to say, from material perspective, we understand that these kind of challenges are very obvious. How to deal with similar challenges that come when, people read Bhagavad Gita, people follow Bhagavad Gita, but still they come up with that kind of a controller mentality. And then, we don't know. I'm going to say, as you rightly said, like, I have to understand the hierarchy, and then I have to deeply respect that. And in the morning session also, you mentioned that I have to be respectful, caring, and the third C I forgot. RCC, I was trying to, relate that. So if you can please.
Curiosity, respect, and care. I was quoting George Washington Carver. Yeah. We have to, in order to live without making gross errors or subtle errors, we have to be very deliberate. We have, for instance, an international society. How is it held together? Well, there's 7 purposes that Prabhupada penned. And there are other ways in which he describes what is a healthy community. For instance, he said you should create an environment in which devotees want to do service that's individual, spontaneous, and voluntary. You should always give a fresh challenge so they want to rise up and meet it voluntarily. And there are signs of health in a community where we see that devotees are kind to one another, they're respectful of their relationships with the devotees. We have various kinds of relationships when we're also able to transcend culture and see that everyone belongs to Krishna consciousness. And we accommodate that. That's also a sign of enlightenment in an organization where we're able to take everyone in. Because the tendency is icha dvesha, once you get yours, then it's closed to everybody else. It happens again and again in history. We got ours now. Yeah, you can get in, but it's going to cost you a lot. And we find this battle goes on and on throughout history because of the environment of the material world. So in order to preserve our own relationship with Krishna, we have to be vigilant against the tyranny of the senses in our mind. And remember, Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam. And in an organization, if we have a project, we should bring to the forefront, it's more important how we do something rather than what we accomplish ultimately. We can look towards growth, and there can be growth, but then we might lose in our efficiency to achieve growth. As we increase efficiency, we may lose the quality of our relationships with the devotees. And you find in any community that's humming along with a semblance of harmony and Krishna consciousness, there's a deliberateness to that, to being very careful. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur warned, as soon as you try to institutionalize prema, then there are various ways in which you can run into the same snags others in history have run into, so you have to be really careful. And you find throughout history there are reform movements in various religious sectors. People have to come along and say, wait, hold it, who said this and that? Let's start over. And it's even happened within the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. There have been various reform periods that we go through. And we'll find it in our own lives. We'll find that, I thought I was doing okay, and I just realized I'm sitting in the corner with an empty half-gallon ice cream and a spoon, and I have no idea how I got here. So, we can go adrift in many different ways, so we have to be very deliberate every day, deliberate on every bead, and so forth, in order to come back to the main purpose of life. So we're in a liminal state as human beings. We're still ruled by the animality that we've come out of and into the human form of life, and we still feel that hunting and being hunted feeling. And so it takes a lot of practice and vigilance in order to come to the perfectly refined state of what's called being a Vaishnava.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I have a practical question.
Oh, good.
So last week we talked about how material pursuits won't result in lasting happiness. We also talked today about these 3 fears that I'm sure Devavrata reminded us of, and I'm sure everyone carries those to varying degrees, either consciously or subconsciously. And I think I would assume that this would result in a lot of ambition in the mode of passion to become bigger, better, stronger, more advanced. Now, we all here at least live in the Bay Area, and most of us have to work in order to sustain our livelihoods. And so I guess my question is about ambition. Is it possible to have a healthy degree of material ambition, especially when it comes to our careers and our work? And how do we keep ourselves in check to make sure that if we are engaging in some sort of material ambition, that we're doing it in a healthy way?
Yeah, material and spiritual is all based on intention. Why are we doing something in the first place? So if we look to our intentions, then we'll be properly guided. Or if we look to and refine our intentions over and over again, then we'll be properly guided. Yes, it's a fact, and it's one of the main themes of the Bhagavad Gita. We're in the material world and artificially trying to readjust our present position is not recommended. In fact, Krishna says, don't try, even if you think you can do it better than somebody else, don't change your duty. Why? Because the grass is always greener on the other side, and you won't learn the lessons of being in your duty and having to overcome the various anomalies in that which are inevitable. So if we come back and examine our intention, why are we doing anything? And remember, as we go forward in the different phases of our life, having to deal with whatever situation we're in now, then those situations become a cause of enlightenment for us. Because as we're, for instance, if you're working in a corporate job and you consider that job as divinely bestowed upon you, Prabhupada writes this in the 18th chapter of the Gita, and you think this is my duty that I'm doing for the Supreme, and meanwhile you give as much energy as you can apportion to Krishna, and you dedicate your work to Krishna, some of the fruit of the work to Krishna, some of your energy, and Prabhupada says in the verse, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mama nusmara yujajo. Can you put it up? Because it gives a direct answer to her question. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu 8, what? 8-7? 8-8. 8-9. It's 8. You say 8-7? Okay. It says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mama nusmara yujyacha mayarpita manobhushna mami vaishyatya samshayaha. And we'll go to the purport. This instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them at the same time. Think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet Krishna Loka, without a doubt. That's pretty good. And once my godbrother Vatsala, he gave his Bhagavad Gita class, and he gave the example of yogurt. How do you make yogurt? Well, first you get some milk from Bhakti Farms, because there's no better milk on the planet. Then you... and I've watched, Nirkula makes yogurt all the time. You get the right kind of pot, and you have to use a thermometer to find out the exact temperature. And then you put in some culture of yogurt from previous batch. And how much does it take? A dollop. How much is a dollop? Does anybody know? It's not specifically, but it's like just a little bit, a dollop. You put a dollop in, then you leave it in that environment, that favorable environment, and what happens? The whole pot turns to yogurt, and it takes to the culture, and then it spreads, and it becomes part of it. So in a similar way, my godbrother Vatsala said, we have the big pot of our life. What's in it? All kinds of stuff. If you really take the time now before the new year comes and you write down everything you're doing, you'll be shocked at all the stuff you're doing simultaneously. You're doing a lot. And then if you think, okay, how much am I chanting Hare Krishna? A dollop. I got a little dollop going on here. You keep doing that, as Prabhupada's pointing out here, and you adjust your intention. Why am I doing what I'm doing? It's like I'm offering it to Krishna. And we should be sincere about that. And as we do, then that chanting and then intention, it will envelop the entire pot and it will turn to something else. It's a foregone conclusion that will happen. So it's not a disadvantage to be engaged in the world. It's only a disadvantage when you forget Krishna. And when you remember Krishna, then vidyam cha yas. You see two things at the same time. You see ignorance and the result of ignorant activities, and you see Krishna consciousness, and you see that they're the antidote. And those two become a solid realization when you see them side by side. It's so interesting, isn't it, to be engaged in the world when you're reading Bhagavad Gita. If you read Bhagavad Gita and walk out into the world and go, I know what that is. That's the mode of passion. And I know the result of the mode of passion. And when you're informed of how the world works, you'll surprise and astound, as I'm sure you already do, all your colleagues who don't have access to that same knowledge. Won't you astound them? Because they'll say, how are you so equipoised? One of the qualities that Krishna recommends throughout the Bhagavad Gita and also gives as a symptom of somebody who's in true knowledge, they're equipoised. So something happens and everyone freaks out except for you. And you move on methodically, dispassionately doing your duty, and everyone says, how is that possible that you're not attached like we're attached? And because I chant Hare Krishna. Isn't that what happens to you? That's what's happening, right? So it's not a disadvantage at all to be engaged in work. In fact, it's an enviable position sometimes because not everybody can find work in a very artificial economy. You think, you see a leaf guy blowing leaves and you think, I wish I had that job. Because there's always leaves to blow. Who knows about AI? So Krishna consciousness is the answer. It's the solution to all conundrums, and it's a slight realignment, and then we can overcome through jnana tapasa all the tribulations, the fear, the anger, the irrational attachment to matter, which is so embarrassing. I was asking, why do I come back to this again and again? And Shil, Anushilanam, when we cultivate love for Krishna and for his Leela and for his foreign pastimes, all the elements of devotional service, then we'll be carried away by a current that we won't be able to resist ourselves. It'll come in so strongly that whatever last vestiges of material attachment we have in the material world, there's an undertow that will grab us and pull us to the spiritual world. It's not that we have to get walking sticks and figure out how to walk back to the spiritual world. No, it's a natural flow that pulls us back through the power of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So now we have a special presentation brought to you by our sponsors today. And we're going to just take 2 minutes to rearrange the stage here so our next speaker can come up. Who's the next speaker? Who is it? Arnab. Arnav. Look at him. He looks great. Give him a hand. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmi Sringadev, if you so desire, please let us individually and collectively cultivate devotional service so that we may overcome Raga, Bhaya, Krodha, and work harmoniously to bring everybody in Silicon Valley to the joyful state of being engaged in the Sankirtan movement. Om Tat Sat. Thank you for considering our request. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpadrishcha, kripa sindhavevacha, patitanam. I'm deeply grateful. Thank you. To Tocqueville.
I turned it to. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, yeah.
Hare Krishna. So, thank you, Maharaj, for such a deep class on the continuation of last week's topic, Krodha Bhaya. And today, the topic of hierarchy actually is very relevant to today's presentation. So I was thinking all along while listening that Krishna is amazing. He arranges such wonderful presentations that so well fit in to the topic. So today is very much related to the topic that you brought out, hierarchy. And I really liked also the point on how abandonment of that is what impersonalism breeds on. And that's really very deep realization for me personally, and how different paths that are in some way influenced by impersonalism are actually different degrees of the same lack of hierarchy. So today we have Arnav, who's going to be presenting on the topic, how to deal with seniors and juniors.
Hare Krishna, I'm Arnav, and I'm going to be presenting on Answers to Love's Questions, Chapter 3, How to Deal with Seniors and Juniors. This section of the book describes seniors as individuals who possess greater experience, deeper wisdom, higher responsibility, and advanced spiritual understanding. Because they have already navigated challenges that juniors have not faced yet, their guidance carries more practical and moral weight. For example, Lord Rama is a great example from our scriptures for his obedience to his father King Dasharath and his gurus Vaisesika and Vishwamitra. While guidance and openness towards juniors are extremely valuable, the book explains that excessive control can often turn into interference. When seniors dominate or restrict all independence from juniors, juniors may comply outwardly, but fail to develop responsibility, confidence, and inner strength. At the same time, the book warns against undue leniency. Because juniors lack the experience and maturity of seniors, leaving them completely unchecked can lead to confusion, repeated mistakes, and the reinforcement of bad habits. Pampering juniors does not help them grow. Instead, it often magnifies their faults. Chanakya Pandit says, pampering a subordinate will only increase his faults, and chastising him will increase his good qualities. So rather than pamper unduly, a teacher should chastise a student, and a father should chastise a child. When correcting your subordinates' actions, always be mindful to check if it is necessary or not, because it can sometimes diminish the enthusiasm and inspiration of them. For example, a father can easily give his answers to his son's problems on addition or multiplication, but for the child to actually understand arithmetic and do it by himself, he has to learn to do it independently and not rely on his father's help. Further growing on the idea, growth does not only come from success, it comes from honest mistakes with sincere intention. For example, a child learning how to walk. A mother could help them walk by holding their hand or helping them up, but for the child learning how to walk, they have to do it themselves. Like right now, we all know how to walk, but we don't hold on to anyone's hands. So, to summarize, sensible seniors respect the autonomy of grown-up juniors and allows them to grow without unnecessarily controlling their actions. They can tolerate the juniors' honest mistakes and properly correct their juniors with due credit for their good work. Sensible juniors are willing to be corrected by experienced superiors with an open mind. They feel happy to be guided and invite intrusions into their autonomy that help them improve and render better service. When sensibleness like this is maintained by both parties, like teacher to student, father to son, or God to devotee, their relationship becomes sweet and their interactions become nourishing. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Harv, for holding forth and bringing this most important information to light. In your presentation, you talked about the different moods in which people can offer instruction, or you talked about chastisement.
Yes.
In your life, what are some examples of times in which you've been corrected in a way that was helpful, that encouraged you, and it's opposite? Is there a time you can remember when somebody chastised you or corrected you in such a way that it wasn't very inspiring? Can you talk about those two in your life?
Yeah. Wait, let me go back to this. Okay, so like a teacher should chastise a student. So let's say, I think an example is maybe I'm giving like a presentation at school, or if I do something wrong, then maybe they, like a helpful teacher would, when they say chastise, they mean give advice on how to change, like something on my presentation, let's say. Or something unhelpful would be like pampering them would mean not letting them do it independently and kind of forcefully changing it. Or let's say like, yeah, they don't help, but they're just giving the answer. So they just go into my presentation and just change something without telling me. But a more helpful way to do that would probably be just to tell me and actually teach me, because that's the proper way.
Have you ever been chastised?
Yeah, like, yeah.
Did you like it or not?
I mean, I guess if it's in the way that you're supposed to, like advising.
Where?
Like advising.
Yeah, so I'm just asking for personal experience. Did anybody ever chastise you in a way that it was helpful to you? A specific thing?
I can't think of it right now.
How about in a way that wasn't helpful to you? Did anybody chastise you in a way that was embarrassing or you didn't like it?
Oh, yeah, like you mean publicly? Like,
I don't know. What happened?
I don't know. I can't think. I'm trying to think on the spot.
Huh?
I'm trying to think on the spot.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to come up with specifics, isn't it?
Like, it wouldn't happen recently, I guess.
It happened recently?
Didn't.
It didn't?
Didn't.
When was it? I liked your talk. I think it was very important. It's an important subject matter. And if you can come up with something that happened to you specifically and you bring it out, everyone will sit up like this. Because generalities are really important and they help with the principles. But if you can bring in something next time you give this talk, where you remember a way you were chastised that wasn't helpful, in the way that a teacher or something said something that really, it was obviously a correction, but they did it in such a way that it uplifted you. If you add that, you'll move from an A to an A+.
Thank you.
Okay. How was that? Did I chastise you properly?
Yeah.
Thank you, Arnav, for a nice presentation. I have a quick question. What made you to come with this topic today?
Like, it's something that I feel like it's like a basic subject, but as you delve deeper, it gets more complex. Like, obviously, you know that, I think everyone here knows that you give your superiors respect, or you have to help your subordinates or juniors. But like the book kind of dwells into deeper of like the relationships, and I feel like if you read this part of the book and kind of actually use it in real life, it can nourish your relationships.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the topic.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, or reflections? Yes, Prabhu, and then Tadiya Seva Prabhu after that.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for the presentation. I had one question, like how do we recognize like if the mistake is honest or like, because like I have a child and I keep shouting at him all the time.
Yeah.
So how do I recognize him being over controlling or I'm giving him the right thing? Like, because you said that you might have to sometimes shout as well.
Yeah. Like, how old is he?
He's 2.5.
2.5. Well, I think all the mistakes you make are gonna be honest. But I guess when he grows up, you'll like chastise. You'll probably have to chastise. Like right now, you're helping him. As he grows older, you're not gonna always be there for him to help him. So you're gonna have to like slowly start making him more independent. And that's kind of more helpful than just controlling him, if you know what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Tadiya Seva Prabhu.
I have a question from the class today to Maharaj. Especially Krodha. When I'm dealing with the family and all the philosophy just evaporates. You know, I get angry very easily with the closed people, you know, maybe closed friends or closed relatives. How do we deal with that situation?
He is asking a question. Oh, okay. How would you deal that with that? You understood the question?
No. Wait, can you repeat it?
So, okay. Yeah, it's actually for the previous class, not for this directly. So, any other questions, comments, or reflections? Manjula Kanta Mataji.
Thank you so much for choosing such a nice topic today. I really like the way you presented with a lot of confidence and you're able to tap into your personal realizations when you're answering tricky questions. I really appreciated that. I just wanted to know from you your opinion. Just like a senior is always guiding a junior, is there a possibility that as a senior we could also have the mindset of learning from a junior?
Okay, yeah. So like if you're a senior, obviously everyone has been a subordinate. You've always had some kind of teacher. You've been a junior before, and now that you're a senior, those experiences, they're gone, right? And now that you used to be the junior who had a senior or subordinate that had a superior. Now you're the superior, and there's a lot of experiences if you're a junior that you can learn. But since it's already passed, you can learn from your own subordinate. Do you get it? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, true. To get a reflection of how it used to be. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think this is it. So I just want to mention Arnav is extremely regular to class. He comes 10 minutes early. Probably the only student who I know is so consistent for the last 1.5 years. I'm very proud of him. And he's very, very steady, I can say that. And very humble. He always helps me clean up and prepare the classroom. And I really appreciate your presence, Arnav, and your steadiness. And I understand this topic of Krishna consciousness is very new to him, but you're a very eager learner, and that's what is required. So I really appreciate that as well.
Thank you.
And it's been a very busy week for him, but he still took the time to prepare. It's the end of year in schools. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of sickness going around. There's a lot going on everywhere. So I appreciate that you took the time to prepare amidst all these. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to hand over to the announcements. If we have for... Okay, Vicky is going to do for Bhakti community, and Manjula Kanta Mataji also has an announcement on behalf of the Vedic Academy.
Hare Krishna. I just want to share a story from last night's mantra zone. So 2 weeks ago, Nitya Tarangini Mataji was at a holiday fair, and she gave someone a set of books, and she said this person is really eager for in-person association. So we invited her to Mantra Zone, but she couldn't make it, so we patiently waited. And then this week she made it a point to come out. And last night Devavrata Prabhu was speaking, and she was so engaged, and she asked so many questions. She asked all the questions that were essential to her heart. And they had a very nice back and forth. And so I was thinking about this reciprocation of loving engagement in bestowing knowledge. And actually, if Devavrata Prabhu is present, Pavani Mataji has requested kindly if he could speak about the experience. Okay. But while we're waiting for that, I wanted to note also that Pavani Bhakti Mataji and Jai Madhava Prabhu really see the whole world as their family. And Anushri and Anshu welcome everyone in as if they're just brother and sister. And their family is constantly in service. And when I think about trying to give kindness to newcomers of Bhakti community, actually I realized that what can I really give? Because they're giving the greatest gift in return by allowing us to welcome them and be of service. So I'm not quite sure if he will be speaking, but okay, thank you. Please invite everyone to Bhakti community.
Hare Krishna. I'm here on behalf of Vedic Academy to remind everybody that tomorrow is the Gratitude Fair. Yes, we are very excited. After a gap of 3 years, because of a heavy, consistent demand, we decided to restart the fair because a lot of people are missing the excitement and the fun that comes from the fair. But more than anything, for Vedic Academy, it's a reason to restart because for our children, it's a great advantage to see Yukta Vairagya in action, to remember that in a time of receiving, for all materialistic people, we are in a mood of giving because we want to give and to always remind our children where it is best to give. What are the root of the plant? And teaching them entrepreneur skills, which is very important in today's world, to not just be, a worker, but to be in charge of things, teaching them leadership skills. All of this comes from these small little efforts that we put. So we request everybody to please come tomorrow. It's from 1:30 to 3. We're doing it in the temple hall and outside. And they will have a lot of wonderful things. We've got fresh hot pizza. We've got all kinds of prasadam and deity supplies and Krishna conscious things. We request all of you to please come and support our children and our Matajis and our Prabhujis in this effort to sponsor for the lordships. All the money is going towards deity dressing department. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for coming today, and also thank you so much to all the Sankirtan warriors who have been going out, not just on the weekends, weekdays, weeknights, every place they can think of, they're going out. And we know that our devotees from Seattle came back, but last weekend they just went immediately out for book distribution. We couldn't hear from them. But I would like to request Kautukarna Prabhu to come and share some of his fresh reflections, because he goes out every day, every night, every morning, whenever he finds time. And even if he's not going out, he's constantly distributing books even here at the temple. So please welcome Kautukarna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. In Seattle, there were 6 of us. It was really nice, 6 ISV devotees, myself, Vaishnav Toshni Prabhu, Adinath Krishna Prabhu, Rupak Prabhu, and Ananga Gopika Mataji and Priyanka Mataji. 6 of us went there. And I'm really grateful to Seattle temple management. They actually arranged for our accommodation and our prasadam and stay. It was very comfortable for all of us, so that we could just focus on distribution. We had 4 pallets of books, 51 Bhagavatams. We had around 1200 Bhagavad Gitas and around 4,000 small books. And we distributed all of them in 10 days. As Guru Maharaj says, it's not what we do, but how we do it. So I am really grateful to all the devotees, because it was a teamwork. Srila Prabhupada has created a house in which the whole world can live. So in Seattle, we never felt that we are outsiders. We were part of their family. And all the devotees at ISV, they worked in nice synergy. So there were 3 teams going out every day to Indian stores and Western spots, Arabic Sankirtan. Also, 4 devotees joined from Seattle area, actually, to help us with book distribution. So they also wanted to learn, and they were very grateful for these lessons. So we had many wonderful experiences. One experience I want to share is a student, while he was at an Indian store, he was buying something, and he saw our stall while he was going in. And as soon as we were wrapping up, he ran out. He said, I want to take these books. He actually took off his sleepers, and we offered him Srimad Bhagavatam. He was a student. He was visiting from Texas, originally from India. But he got the full Bhagavatam set. And I said, how are you going to take this with you? He said, I will get a check-in bag, and I will put all the books with me. So he was very eager to receive these books. Also, we were next to the Christmas tree outside Nordstrom. So we met many people who were happy to dance and sing in Kirtan. So Adinath Krishna Prabhu is a great drummer. And we had wonderful Kirtan, jumping and dancing Kirtan. So it was a lot of fun. It was not just done for efficiency, but I felt really nourished from that whole experience. So thank you, Maharaj, and thank you all the ISV devotees, Malini Mataji, for facilitating us. Venudhari Gopal Prabhu is always on top of things, so he made sure that we received the books on time. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yesterday, we went for shop-to-shop book distribution. It is a really nice way to connect with people who are anyways waiting, for customers, and they are like, they are very gentle and kind normally. So it is a very nice way to distribute books. Devrata Prabhu actually has chalked out a plan how we can go to different parts of Bay Area and distribute books. So myself, Tim Prabhu, Suvarnabindu Prabhu, and Adinath Krishna Prabhu, we were in Fillmore, San Francisco. So while we were walking on the street with our wagon full of books, we saw a guy with disheveled hair and smoking. It was not even cigarette, it was in India they call it BD. There was no filter on it. So I was not sure whether I should approach that person, but as Guru Maharaj recommends, we should give an opportunity to everybody. So I approached that person and I offered him a book. And he was so happy to receive Bhagavad Gita. We showed him Bhagavatam. He said, I want Bhagavatam. But when I told him about 18 books, he said, maybe give me a smaller book. So Tim Prabhu gave a Bhagavad Gita, the stack that we have. And I said, we have Arabic one, because he told me that he's from Egypt and he knew Arabic. He said, I already got Arabic set in the Palestine festival. He said, and now I can use an English one, I think. So he got an English set, and he got one more for his friend, and he gave $50 donation on Venmo on the spot. So I was thinking, he was so appreciative. He said, this world is anyways an illusion. He was so appreciative of the things that we are doing. Many people who even did not take books from us, they had books from the past, and they were very thankful for us to come out and distribute this knowledge. One lady, I just want to share one more. We just offered her a book on the sidewalk, and she said, why are you giving this to me? I was thinking that she's offended. I said, we are on a community service, we are doing this for increasing spiritual awareness. And she said, but why are you giving this to me? She said, just 5 minutes ago, I was telling to my barber, I want to be happy. I'm practicing gratitude, but it's just like I'm tricking myself. I'm not feeling happy. And you are giving me this book, chant and be happy. And she removed her sunglasses, and she had tears in her eyes. So there are many more experiences. It was very, very fulfilling. So this is the time of end of the year where people are open to receive. So please join us. We have a big goal for distributing at least 79,000 Bhagavad Gitas from ISV and 4.6 million all over the world. So please, we need all the hands on the deck. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Katha Prabhu. And he missed one part of the Palestinian story. He said, why don't you come to Palestine and distribute books there too? So, so we're probably sending him there. So we have just 3 more weekends left in December and 1 more weekend in January for us to meet our goals. It's very, very critical because, as Prabhu was mentioning, that we do have a goal of at least 79,000 Bhagavad Gitas, all hands on deck. Everything counts, everyone counts, and even if you can distribute at least 1 Gita, it goes towards the 79,000 Bhagavad Gitas. So please join us. Today we have many spots, and we are discussing where we can have different devotees join. So please see me or Kautukarna Prabhu. We can engage you in different spots. And also, make a note, mark your calendar. Next Saturday is supposed to be one of the second busiest shopping day in the year. So December 20th, second busiest shopping day. So like we did for the day after Thanksgiving Harinam, we will have multiple spots around the Bay Area. We'll have devotees go out everywhere. So if you're working on Saturday, call in sick if possible. Or if you're not working on Saturday, clear your calendar, so we have you available that day. And together, we can try to do something to please Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you very much. I think if you entered the door today, you might have seen Kameshwari right there, sitting on a table. Today she's giving out all the book packs and everything for kids, because kids are going on an outing where they can distribute books using the door hanger bags. So please join that effort if you are not already signed up. If you're signed up, please show up also and take your books, your book packs and everything. And if you can't distribute today, you can just still take them today and distribute it over the next week. And kids are also getting holidays soon, I think. So every day you can go out on book distribution. Hare Krishna.
gaye dharma jivayate loba moy sudhati take jeta gatita sanshare Krishna bado doya moy kori bare jiva jai shaprashadanna dilo bahai shayanamrita pao Radha Krishna guna gao Preme dako Shri Chaitanya Nihitai Preme dako Shri Chaitanya Nihitai Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sapa Punya Vatam Rajan Vishwaso Naiva Jayate Prasade Sarvatikanam Manirasya Upajayate Prasana Chetaso Yashu Budipaya Vatishtete Kayopa Swakanda Vasalankara Charchitaha Uttishta Bojino Dasa Javamayam Jayemahi Shusham Prayukshitam Vati Nityam Vadurateshata Krapti Matrena Bhottavyam Nakrakala Vicharana Desha Niyamastatra Nakala Niyamastatra Praptamanam Dhritam Shishte Bhoktaram Hari Abrave Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasadiki Gopremanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Please come take your shadow. Hari Bol.